Hey, y'all, it's Miss Johnson. This is the video for, May 10th triangle congruency practice, I think is what it's called. By the way, I'm just going to go over a couple of the questions from part one, a question that's like the first couple questions from part two, and then remind you about our two big triangle questions that we talked about and answered that will help you with parts 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Okay. So today in class, we came up with 4 triangle congruency conjectures that said if we have these pairs of congruent items in each triangle, then we get to say right off the bat, these are definitely congruent, right? And what we're trying to do is either find one of these 4 things, so 3 pairs of congruent sides, a congruent side, a congruent angle, and then another congruent side, where the angle is in between the 2 sides that are congruent. An angle, a side, and an angle that are congruent, where the side is in between the 2 angles, right? Angle, side, angle. Or 2 angles in a row and a side that are congruent. And these are 3 tricky ones. So I'm going to show you these ones just to let you know. So in number 9, it looks like we have a side that's the same, an angle that's the same, and then any triangle which shares a side, right? Like this line is in both this triangle and this triangle. We say this is congruent to itself. So this is actually a side for both triangles as well. So when we're looking at this maroon triangle, we have a side, an angle, and then a side where the angle is in between. And then when we look at this green triangle, we've got a side, angle, and side again, where the angle is in between. So these are actually congruent by side, angle, side, which is how we would write this. Again, whenever a triangle shares a side, we say that it's congruent to itself. So you get to count that as one of the sides. All right, over here, we've got a side, angle, angle, side, right? So we can treat this as angle, angle, side, which is one of ours. And then you might say, oh, Miss Johnson, nice. We've also got angle, angle, side right here, an angle, and a side. But let's slow down. These tick marks are not the same. This is equal to this, but is not equal to these two. Right? So even though the drawing looks like it's the same, the tick marks are not telling us they're the same, right? Same with here. This angle is definitely congruent to this one, but we don't know whether the heart angles are congruent to the cloud angles, right? Whether the 1 swoop angles are congruent to the 2 swoop angles. So these are not congruent. Not congruent. I can also write it like this. Right? Because we don't know that these tick marks are the same. So this is kind of a tricky one. It looks like, oh yeah, we've got these angle sides going on, but we don't get to say it because the tick marks aren't actually matching up. And then on number 4, this is a side, an angle, and a side that matches up with this angle, this side, and this side. But you might notice that on this first triangle, the angle is in the middle of the 2 sides. And on this triangle, it's these 2 sides and then a different angle, so it's SSA. These are not congruent, or we haven't proven that these are congruent. Right? Because these aren't the same things, and this isn't even one anyways. Right? This is the one where we were able to find 2 triangles that had this but weren't the same. Ooh, okay. So yeah, be careful on those. I think there's 15 of them, so try those ones out. And then on the second part, we're going to do something like this. I'll do this entire one with you, and then the givens are slightly different on your version. Given that angle C is congruent to angle G, that line segment BA is congruent to line segment HI, and that angle A is congruent to angle I. Mark the congruent sides. So I'm going to mark this one as one arc. I'm going to mark this one as a tick mark. And I'm going to mark this one with 2 arcs. Went ahead and marked them. Are these 2 triangles congruent? Let's see. The congruency conjectures are side, 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 angle, angle, side, angle, side, angle, and side, angle, side. This one, we've got an angle next to another angle next to a side. And this one, again, we've got an angle next to an angle next to a side. So I think these are congruent because the pairs match up. And angle, angle, side was one of our conjectures. And the one on your homework is slightly different than that, but same thing, basically. For numbers 4 and 5, the theorem that we should remember is each 2 sides of a triangle must, I'll just write it again, must add up to be bigger than the third side. So we're just checking to see if any 2 sides are bigger than the third side when we add them up for these 2. And that was our triangle big question 1. And then our triangle big question 2 affects this one, which is the theorem. The smallest angle is across from the smallest side in a triangle. Right, the smallest angle is across from the smallest side in a triangle. Same with largest, and same with the medium one. Same with medium and largest. And that should help you figure out which is the smallest angle because we know how big the sides are. All right, y'all, that's the notes for this assignment. If you need any help, please come to office hours on Monday and Thursday from 3 to 4 or on Wednesday from 9 to 11. All right, see y'all soon.